Hi, I'm Eileen at Just So Happy, and this is our 12 Days of Christmas. So today you're going to do a pleated Christmas tree block. These blocks can be made any size. They can be put together quilt, table runner, pillow, however you want to use it. So let's get started. Okay, so here's what you'll need to make this pleated tree block. You're going to need a background square. I am using a 10-inch block. You're going to need a 2.5-inch strip, the same width as your square. You're going to use a printed green for your tree. This one is 6 inches by 18. These can be any size you want to make them. The wider it is, the fatter the tree. The longer it is, the taller the tree. A little scrap for your trunk, and a piece of lightweight to medium fusible interfacing. Okay, so now we're going to take our tree fabric and we're going to pleat it. And there are no exact measurements. You're going to eye this. We're going to just pinch and fold. The one thing you do want to have is you want to have the edge of the fabric at the bottom. Do not start with a fold, because that's where you're going to stitch it to the bottom of the block. So you're going to fold and you're going to press these pleats. Now I did spray mine with Best Press to kind of help hold it as I went along. So as you fold, and they can be wide, they can be thin, and they don't even all have to be the same. So I'm going to do the whole thing and go press this with the iron, and I'll be right back. And what we're going to do now is take our fusible interfacing, and you're going to fold it in half. Okay, and I'm going to lay it alongside, and I am going to cut from this corner. I do not want it any longer than this piece. I'm going to actually stay a little bit short of there. So take a ruler, and we're going to lay it down, and I'm going to go from corner, and we're just going to cut us a triangle. And we'll open this up, and it's going to go in here. If you wanted a skinnier tree, you're just going to trim it just down a little bit. So it's whatever you want, the look you want. What I'm going to do next is we're going to take this pleat, flip it over. We're going to put the fusible side down, and I'm going to go back to my ironing board and fuse that on. Okay, I have ironed on my fusible interfacing, and I am going to stitch about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge on the fusible interfacing. Just stitch around our tree. Okay, now that we have stitched around the interfacing, I'm going to take it over and trim it right along the interfacing. Okay, so we're going to take our 2.5-inch piece. All we're going to do is fold it in half, give us a little crease, because we're going to cut that in half. And we're going to take our little trunk piece. We're going to take it over to the machine, and we're going to sew to this side, and then of course sew the other side. So we're going to set those aside and take them to the machine. We're going to take our block, and we're going to do an off-center cut. So down here at the bottom we might be about 2 inches, and up here we're going to be larger. It's not an exact measurement, and just cut this. Okay, so I've cut it, and as you see, that's what I did. And what you would do is you would flip this up. But I cut this piece to show you how I loved this little dot to look like snowflakes, but actually I can't use it. This is the right side, but when I flip this one up, see, now I've got the wrong side. So please note that you must use a solid fabric for your background. So if you really want to get around, you really want to use a printed fabric, what you need to do then is have 2 blocks. And if you put these two blocks together, wrong sides to wrong sides or right side to right side, and you would cut both at the same time. So I'm just going to cut this one to match what I've already done, but you could have cut them together and they would match exactly. So now I can get the right side of that one and the right side of this one. And then these two can make a second block. Okay, so now we're going to sew our tree trunk to our two pieces of 2.5 inch strips. Right sides to right side. And I'm doing all the seams with a quarter inch seam. Open it up and sew the other side. Okay, and we're going to press those seams. There we go. So there's our tree trunk. Our tree to our background fabric. So right side up, and we're going to place our tree right along the edge with the widest part of the background at the top. So we'll put our tree on here and sew it with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. We're going to press that seam open, well, over to the side. We're going to take our other piece. Again, the widest part is at the top, and we're going to line it up. It doesn't have to be exact because we're going to trim it when we're done. Again, a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Press our seam, and we're going to go and trim across the top and even at the bottom, because I remember then we go and square it all up. Okay. So we're going to trim right across the bottom, the tree, and trim off the background excess. We can trim that off as well. And we're going to come back and trim the top because now we're going to sew our tree trunk on. And as you see, it's not exact, so we will square up our block when we're done. Okay, we're going to sew the trunk on. I just lined it up in the middle. You can just sort of eye it and sew this bottom on. I didn't get to the edge. There we go. Now what we're going to do is square up our block. I am trimming it even with the edge at the bottom. Now you could have used a longer strip if you wanted to have it bigger. These blocks can be made any size you would choose. You just cut whatever pieces you're doing a little bit larger, and you can make it, even the top. I can trim it to be just a 1/4 inch so that it sews just to the tip of the tree, or I can leave a little extra. I'm going to trim it so it's right at the 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I need to see on the ruler here. Now, my block is rectangle. I can trim off more if I want it to be square. It's all up to you. What size would you like to have it trimmed down to? You can also just make taller trees. As I said, it's just all on the sizes you would like to use. Thanks for joining us for the 12 Days of Christmas.